Good connection. Let me go from the YouTube over there real quick.
No, dude, I'm striking out with chocolates. A raspberry one, and then the orange cream one. These are like the whammies in the box.
That's funny because I thought I got a pretty good one. You said fuck.
Yeah.
I often do that too. Like, it's not worth it if I eat it. Like, if you're not enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm not going to force myself to do that shit. I don't have time for that.
Start recording here. So how's it going, everybody? We are now in our umpteenth week of doing this, where I don't think we need to really keep track of anymore how many times we've been doing this, because I think we've been doing it pretty consistently.
No, welcome to week 15, everybody.
So that being said, exactly, welcome to week 15.
It's do or die time.
So I guess we can just do the results here first. So I know all you guys are dying to hear about the results from last week. So Kenny got 11 games right, Bryan 7, and myself 11, which brings the score 26-25 to 27. First thing I want to take care of is figuring out this last place thing. So, you know what? Let me text Bryan. Oh, why don't you go ahead and let him know what's going on with Bryan?
Yeah, so the show is Ken Cloud and sometimes Tequilla Bryan. And the reason he's sometimes Tequilla Bryan is because sometimes he's also absent Bryan. And now, I mean, I think they're equally good to me. I'm okay, with either one of them, because it's a lot harder for him to, rebuttal the shit talk if he's not in the room, right, Bryan? See, nothing out of Bryan tonight. So, yeah, Bryan's going to be making his picks via YouTube. So, anybody who's following along should be able to see that stuff and be able to fight with Bryan too.
So now that we've talked about that, hopefully Bryan pops into the YouTube here pretty soon, and we can start talking about last place, how that's determined. I was of the mind that we're doing what we did last year, or what you were doing last year, but and that's how I would like to do it.
Say again, one more time. Sorry.
Last place.
Checking your link.
Last place.
Yeah,
I was in the headspace.
So the way that it played out last year,
yeah,
was that we just we didn't have the consolation bracket set up properly, so we just took the last two teams, which were myself and Murder Valiants, and we took our cumulative scores over the 3 weeks of the playoffs and determined the winner and the loser. And so that was how he got the Sacco last year. But he had a chance to play himself out of it, which is ultimately the goal. We want to keep the whole league competitive. So the best way to do that is to give the people who are in last place an opportunity to get out of last place, in my opinion.
I think that's how you should do it again this year. Mm-hmm. Next year.
It's already set up to do that. We don't have to do anything. The consolation bracket is already set up to determine an ultimate loser, because someone will lose 3 times.
Right, but
because
last year it was just those two competing. The two.
It was
players.
just 2.
I'm saying that's what we should do this year. That's the
no. Put all of you in there.
That was the impression I got when I joined the league. That was the impression I got.
I was just gonna let that be quiet and see how long before you were like no. So we will the way that, for anybody in the league that's listening right now, the way that we'll do it is the league itself is gonna pair you because of the consolation bracket and the way that it's set up, but we won't determine the Sacco that way. It'll just be the last 2 teams and your scores for the 3 weeks.
I think
so. I believe that puts Murder Valiants and Menage a Trois on notice.
And it's starting today too, or this week, right?
It started Thursday. So, and they have, because of the lineup locks that we play with in our league. Not everybody plays with that. You can choose to play with it or not. And what that is once the playoffs start, only the teams who have qualified for the playoffs can add or drop players. You can still make changes to your lineup, but you can't add or drop players.
It let me drop some players.
Did it?
I'm going to try to drop one right now. And the reason why I wanted to sort this out was because I need to figure out if I need to play Lockett or not.
I could be, completely misspeaking right now, but I'm pretty sure the last time I checked the league settings, it was supposed to be the non-playoff teams were locked.
So I think I'll go ahead and drop.
But anyway.
So I just dropped somebody out of injured reserve.
Week 15, full slate of games this week. Had an excellent game last night. Ray thought he was going to be right for quite a long time. Was super excited when the Chargers scored the go-ahead score.
Oh, yeah.
And I just looked at him like, man.
There was plenty of time.
Man,
there was plenty of time on both ends.
Just wait. Yeah. Wait till you see what Travis Kelce's about to do. And yeah, man, it is. Thank God that guy didn't make the playoffs because he's not on my team. So, first game of the week, we have New England at Indianapolis. I actually think this is an excellent game for the New England winning streak to come to an end. What do you think?
I think it just let me add a wide receiver to my roster. Jay Judy I picked up just now.
That's a mistake. You shouldn't do that.
There's nobody else. I mean,
there's nobody out there at all.
There's nobody else.
For wide receivers, it is a wasteland. There's actually more running backs to be interested in right now than there are wide receivers. It's kind of that's backwards because that's just typically not the case. So all the passing games have just been really, really bad lately.
What game were we talking about?
The first game we're talking about is New England and Indianapolis, and we got the line at actually Indy by 2.5. So I'm not exactly like a genius by picking the Colts here.
You're picking the Colts?
I'm picking the Colts here.
I'm picking New England.
I know, and I actually said that I wasn't going to pick against New England like all year long until the Super Bowl, but like maybe it'll be fun to just pick against them all the way until the Super Bowl.
Yeah, maybe. Thank you for the points. What about Bryan? Bryan, if you can chime in and let us know. If not, maybe we should have waited for him to say, I'm on chat, you guys.
Yeah, maybe. We'll just make, make sure he's in chat first before we're just going, hey, Bryan. But,
so we can circle back to it. We can talk about
that's what I was going to do. We can just move on to drafting games.
Okay. We can do that.
So I'm going to write up our picks for this one.
Okay. Get a traveling mic for that, huh? Take it off. Woo! Woo! Take it off. Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. First things first. Patriots versus Colts. And then Kenny. And then whenever Bryan, I'm pretty sure he'd pick. I should just do all his picks for him and then pick the bad teams.
We just flip a coin for Bryan.
The coin flip. That's a segment. The coin says, good old coin.
And Bryan's pick.
So today I bought a bunch of chocolates because it was supposed to be like a little bit more of a Christmassy type podcast, but Tequilla Bryan,
he ruined your dreams.
He didn't show up. I have his stocking there waiting for him and everything.
Yep. Tequilla Bryan. Sometimes Tequilla
Bryan. So we're going to talk about drafting games.
So, yeah, and you were first last week.
Oh, okay.
And you maintained your lead, so we can do this golf style, and you can lead off this week too, if you like.
Titans. No, I'll let what's his name? I'll let Bryan do that one. Panthers versus Bills.
You gonna pick Panthers Bills as number one? That's what you want to watch?
Yeah, why not?
Sounds great.
I like their kicker.
The Panthers kicker?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, he's talking about the Bills kicker. He's talking about Tyler Bass.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Killing it all year.
I have a kicker in the Panther versus Bills game is actually where my mind was. And that's what came out.
My kicker's in there, so I'll watch this game. So I can be excited about like when they every time there's a field goal. Ooh, there's my guy. Well, I think by now anybody who's been watching this knows that I'm the Josh Allen guy. So the big thing here is in this match is like is Josh Allen going to play? Right now I think he's projected to play. Even if he is, to be honest with you, I'm not sure if I'm starting him right at this minute. Like typically, I don't like to be like you have your stud quarterback, and when you have one of the top 5 guys, you don't like to sit him in any matchup. But that that New England matchup was, obviously the wind played a major factor.
Yeah, I think you can just scrub that.
But not really because he's also a rushing quarterback. So he just didn't they just didn't get the job done. And so to me, that was a couple weeks ago, wasn't it?
It was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, okay. But he's susceptible. Like last week they had the bonanza against and last week he was bad for 3 quarters. If they had called the game after 3 quarters, there'd be a lot of Josh Allen managers who wouldn't have made the playoffs because he did most of his damage in the fourth quarter. I think he scored almost 20 points in the fourth quarter.
So who are you gonna play over?
Bryan has Indy. Tell him to get on. Tell him to get on YouTube. He texted it.
Get on YouTube, Bryan.
Yeah, get on YouTube, Bryan.
Make your comments on the YouTube. He's probably one of those guys that doesn't have a YouTube account. He watches everything.
Comment as a guest?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I have a YouTube account, but I don't really use it. I never make comments.
I think as far as that goes, the YouTube comments, if that was something that was allowed, you would get so many people just trolling that it wouldn't even work. So they make you at least have an account. And some cases, and I don't know if YouTube does this, but I know a lot of streaming sites do. If you don't verify your email, you still won't be able to comment. So you have to.
Yeah, but that's usually something they ask you to do right away. Like when you create your account, verify your email. Texting faster. Okay. We'll see. We'll see about that, Bryan. All right. So Bryan says he has Indy, so we'll get that one. If texting is faster, then you got to make sure you're making your picks and stuff too.
Oh, that's what he's saying. Texting's faster.
Yeah.
I thought he was just saying that he'll text faster.
No, he probably won't. That's what I'm saying. That's my prediction. We'll see.
So he picked. Who did he pick?
He picked Indy in the other game. That's what I'm saying. He's a game behind already. The texting is slower. So obviously, I'm picking the Bills in this game. I don't trust them to cover a 12-point spread right now. I just don't.
We don't pick with the spread.
I know.
We will.
I'm saying
that'll be something.
I'm saying though, and there's a lot of really wide spreads this weekend. By the way, they're kind of ridiculous. But I'm just saying for anybody who's interested, I thought the spread was really, really large considering the Bills have been playing the way that they're playing.
YouTube takes too long. Is that him? Is that Tequilla? Uni? Is that Bryan?
Uni.
YouTube takes too long. Oh, I don't know.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
Did he give us a pick for the Bills Panthers?
No, not yet. We're waiting. We're waiting, Bryan. Where is the pick for Bills Panthers? Come on, bro.
And then what did you pick? You just talked a lot of shit about.
I picked the Bills.
Okay.
I just didn't think that they were gonna win by 12.
Okay, gotcha. And he's not doing good enough for you to pick him either, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
the quarterback.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
Yeah, so I'm on the fence. I also picked up Tua because Tua has an amazing playoff schedule. And they're playing the Jets this weekend. So I have a real tough decision, who do I want to start? I want to start Tua against the Jets and guarantee myself, like 25 points, or do I want to start Josh Allen and maybe get 18, maybe get 40? Because I think that's what Josh Allen is this weekend. He's just a real boom bust candidate for quarterback, and he put up a 40-point performance last week, and generally, doesn't back that up with another monster performance. In my experience of having him as my quarterback, that happens to me a lot. So, like he does have a lot of monster games in him, but he will also have some clunkers. And Carolina's defense is really good. They've gotten a lot better. They still have something to play for. I think the Bills are susceptible. They're not going to be able to run the ball. Is going to be their biggest problem. They have no running game at all. Josh Allen is all their offense. But I think we can move on from that game now.
It's messed up.
My turn to pick. Yes. So my first pick is going to be 49ers and Falcons. I said last week that I thought the Falcons defense, I thought the Falcons were better than people were giving them credit for. I thought their offense was anemic, but their defense isn't terrible. And overall as a team, they play pretty tough, and they don't make a ton of mistakes where they kill themselves. If like their biggest problems are that Matt Ryan's 36 and not 26. But the 49ers are playing tough too. And we got a pick from Bryan. Bryan picked the Niners. I didn't see what pick he made for the Bills game, but he says he's going to pick the Niners in this one, and I am too.
He put it on the YouTube chat.
What did he pick for Buffalo? You picked the Bills.
Yeah.
Okay. What did he say? What did he say? About he said Allen. So he says start Allen over Tua. Is that what he's saying? Start Allen over Tua?
I don't know. What do you think?
I'm not betting against Allen. That's it. I'm not betting against Allen. I'm not doing that because I might still start him. Yeah, I think the 49ers will put the Falcons to bed. I think the Falcons have had a pretty nice run. I don't think many people expected them to win 6 games, and to be in playoff contention at this point. And the 49ers can send them packing. And I'm going to enjoy watching it because I want to see. I want to watch. Continue to watch the 49ers a little bit and see if they're going to be a real playoff team, because I think they are. Honestly, they could still be the best team in the NFC West.
They're not even in the hunt for the playoffs though, right?
Yeah. What are you talking about? They're 7-6.
I could have sworn I saw. I mean, I could. Yeah.
They were the 7th seed last week before they won.
Or maybe I'm thinking Seahawks, because I knew there was somebody in our conference.
The Seahawks
that was
now
so far out that
the Seahawks are 5-8, but they're technically not out of it because they have division games remaining, so they can get back in. And if they went 9-8, I think they would get in. We can talk about that later, though. I don't see that happening. Bryan, pick your game while I put these picks on the board.
And while they're doing that, I'm thinking about picking out another chocolate or pour myself some. Ooh, we're running out low on wine. I need to get a refill on this stuff. So.
We all pick Buffalo?
Yes.
Ray is watching this game.
Let's do a recap. Patriots versus Colts. I'm standing alone, it looks like, in that game.
Yes.
Panthers. Oh, I'm so happy to have a standalone game out of the way.
Who did you pick? 49ers, Falcons?
Everybody went 49ers.
Okay.
So that game.
What game is...
Bryan has not mentioned yet a game, but I'm pretty excited about being a standalone pick on Patriots versus Colts.
I mean, yeah. Anytime you're
where's it at?
Anytime you're picking the Patriots, people are betting against you. It's good. It's a good time. I've had success.
Where are they playing?
They're in Indy.
So I mean, there's that.
So okay, what I really think about that game is that they're in Indy, and the last time Indy played against a defense that we expected to stop Jonathan Taylor, they put up over 200 yards rushing and 38 points, and smashed the Bills. So, while I think the Patriots are a really good team, I think that's how you can beat them. I think you can run against them, and I think the Colts will. So start Jonathan Taylor with confidence every week.
Yeah, but I think the Patriots defense it's been one of the best for a while now. So
you picked Pittsburgh, Tennessee, like we didn't know you were going to watch that game. Come on.
That's why I left it alone. Actually,
what are you doing?
I was about to pick that one, then I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave that alone. I'll let him pick it because I think that would be an obvious pick for him.
So. Still no A.J. Brown for the Titans, which means still no real offensive threat. And the Steelers, Steelers are still hanging tough. The way that you can beat the Steelers is to run on them, and I don't think the Titans can do that with the backs that they have. And I think the Steelers are going to take this game. And I think they will win by more than 1 point.
Yeah, that's 2 standalone games for me. I'm going to go ahead and pick Titans on this one.
Excellent. Catching you this week.
It's about time. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think I don't know. I think out of the 2 teams, I trust more in the running game that the Titans seem to have, even without Derrick Henry, and I don't really trust Big Ben at all. So that's where I stand on that. Yeah, I know you do, and I know Bryan does a little bit. So we'll see. Oh, now I'm excited. This week, this week might be one of those weeks where I just have a horrible week.
Yeah, because you're picking him against Big Ben, and Big Ben is getting it done the last few weeks.
Yeah,
pardon me, I'm eating this chocolate.
That's got to taper off at some point. I think maybe it won't, but I think it's gotta. Ooh, this one looks like a peanut butter cup.
Why? Why do you think it's going to taper off?
They
have a really young team
because because the steroids are probably wearing off right now, and they have to have that game before they realize
it's okay to be like, listen, this is why, because Ben is a fat old fuck, and he's gonna fall on his other arm and break it, and he's gonna exit the game, and they're gonna have to send in Mason Rudolph, and we all know what happens when that happens. But you can't be saying stuff like, "Oh yeah, he's been on roids."
No. Well, I was just using roids as an example. What I'm saying is,
HGH,
something happened. He did something. I'm not saying he took something. He did some kind of therapy that was temporary, and it's going to wear off at some point.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think he's doing anything special. That's the thing. Is like, so to wear, like, I don't think he's doing anything spectacular. I think he's just getting the job done.
I think I like wearing a tinfoil hat from time to time.
You got to be worried if you're a Pittsburgh fan though about Chase Claypool. He's just been doing some weird stuff, like trying a little too hard to be a star. Maybe is what it seems like. Just not just doing his job. And then after that, you got Pat Freiermuth at tight end. The Muth is Luth for the playoffs. Like, I'm having difficulty deciding whether or not I want to start him or Gesicki. And honestly, I lean towards Freiermuth because, Pat Freiermuth leading the NFL in red zone targets since Juju got hurt. Since Juju Smith-Schuster went down and Freiermuth became, one of the leading target getters for Pittsburgh, he has more end zone targets, not red zone, end zone targets than anybody else. And that's like receivers, tight ends, running backs, all of them. So, I think I think he's an excellent option if you have anybody who's less than Mike Gesicki, because I'm probably going to start Gesicki as much as I believe in Pat Freiermuth to put up a touchdown. I really think Gesicki could have like a 25-point game against the Jets. There's no Jalen Waddle, I believe, for this game. I could be wrong. That could be old news, but I know that he tested positive for COVID. So I think he's going to be out. And I think there'll be excellent plays this week. So if you have, obviously, you have Travis Kelce, you have Gronkowski, you have, I don't think Darren Waller is going to play. You have Kittle. Those guys you start over Pat Freiermuth, but after that, probably not anybody else. I'd pick Freiermuth over. And then, we can move on from there. So you can go ahead and pick your second game, right?
I think I'm going to go with the game. I'm going to go with Vikings versus the Bears. I actually don't know.
Why are you picking primetime games, dude?
Because I don't know which ones are primetime. I just have a list written down.
Where?
No, I just have. Is it a primetime game? I can move on from it.
Yeah.
Well, since we're all here, let's just do our picks. I don't have to necessarily watch it, but we do our picks for it.
Vikings, Bears. I'm picking the Vikings.
I think that's where I'm leaning. I'm leaning Vikings as well.
So
I just don't feel like I've seen very much out of the Bears, but for whatever reason, I feel like this one. What's this over under? Do you have it or not? But the spread, not the over under.
So I don't. Here, let me pull this up. We haven't been doing the over unders on all of these games so far, and we
never do anything with them though. That's why
it's actually 44 this game, and that's kind of what I thought it was. Going to be is like a 24-20ish game, low scoring game. It's in Chicago. It's at night. Typically, these games aren't high scoring, so you don't want to start any of the deeper guys. Like probably stay away from KJ Osborne. Probably stay away from Conklin. You're still going to start Jefferson and Cousins, and Cook obviously on that side. And Justin Fields is interesting. I think Justin Fields is going to have a really good game, and Darnell Mooney. He's had a couple of bad games, so it's hard to say that he's just going to have a monster game this week. But I do think he's going to have a good game. And then obviously you're still starting David Montgomery. And then after that, there's not a whole lot that I want to talk about from this game.
How did the Vikings do last week?
How did they do?
Did they struggle last week? Did
No, though. I mean, the Vikings do what they do every week. They
barely win.
So they played the Thursday game last week, so that's why it feels like it's been a while since we saw them.
Okay, yeah.
And they jumped out to the big lead on Pittsburgh. It was like 29-0 or something like that, and the final score was 36-28.
Yeah, like they came back, right?
And it actually would have been, had they completed the comeback, I think it would have been the largest single season comeback in NFL history.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Maybe that's why it's like kind of scratching me weird.
The Vikings are a good team. They just they kind of play down or up to their competition. They seem to make these weird mistakes that will keep teams in games or keep them from running away from teams too much. Typically, like I was surprised when they got ahead of Pittsburgh the way that they did, and then completely unsurprised when Pittsburgh came back on them. But that being said, I don't think the Bears have the offensive game plan. Like it's just crazy to me that they seem to like not know what they're doing with Justin Fields, and then they don't have a lot of weapons either. Like outside of Darnell Mooney, like you don't want to play Allen Robinson. You don't really want to play Cole Kmet, tight end, and that's pretty much it. So I believe I have the next pick.
Yeah,
right.
And you guys both went Vikings on this one?
Mm-hmm. I did, for sure. Did he go Vikings too?
Yeah, I think he did. I'm reading his.
No, I said I don't like Osborne. Why you say I like Osborne too? I said I don't like Osborne. What, you drunk?
I think I'm going to go with you guys on this one too. Although it wouldn't be a bad game to stand alone on, I don't think.
Ooh.
But I'm going to go with you guys on this one, which means
This is just going to be a weird playoff season. We have so many players that are dropping from COVID right now.
Who's got next pick?
It's me. And I am going to take Jets and Dolphins. Because this Dolphin, I want to see if the Dolphins are, kind of like I like watching the 49ers right now. I want to see if the Dolphins are going to pull it all the way together and be a formidable playoff team. And I think they are. Their offense is a little rough to watch. Like, they're good in between the 20s, and they're bad in the red zone. They just are. They don't have a tremendous amount of push on the offensive line, and they don't have a bunch of really, great play calls.
What's up, Tyson Casey? It looks like Hunter Renfro's out. Okay. I just like to, I'm sorry I interrupted your thought, but whenever I see somebody I haven't sent, I want to recognize that they're in there.
Brian, you want to make a bet on Osborne? I'll give you I'll give you top 20. If he makes top 20, I'll drink.
You guys, are you picking Dolphins on this game?
Mm-hmm. Yes. I don't think this is probably going to be a unanimous game also. I mean, who's picking the Jets? Stand alone on the Jets. I dare you.
I'm not.
I did it.
Sucker.
I've stood alone on the Jets and the Lions. And I'm still right behind you in picking. Take that. Yes. We have a bet accepted. Drink bet accepted. Okay.
All right.
I'm going to put up. Did you pick? He needs to pick his game too. So let me know when he picks the Dolphins or the Jets.
So we got a bet going that. Let me see here. Let me go back. Osborne. That Osborne's going to be top 20. Is that what it is?
Yes. I say no.
And
Sometimes Tequilla Bryan says yes.
Tequilla Bryan is for Osborne making the top 20 on the bet. And Miami. Miami. What about the next game, Tequila? What's going on, man?
It is his pick. That was Osborne.
Dun, 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 dun. We don't have music for you guys, like in these little holding times. I should get some. Figure that out. Have some music playing, because Brian doesn't know how to type very fast. He's like, I'm gonna take my time figuring out what game I want to pick. That should be interesting. We got a lot of drinking to either pay up next week or the week after or whatever. Or did you race the bets?
I did. But
Arizona versus Detroit. Okay.
So
That should be easy.
I raced
Arizona.
them, but I owe one shot, and you guys owe two. I think you might only owe one.
I'm not doing it unless Brian's here. I'm not saying I'm not going to do it. I'm saying I'm waiting for Brian to be here.
No, we can pay up later. That's fine. When we're all in the same room. I mean, unless we're going to get video of Brian taking shots.
That's not good enough for the viewers. The viewers have to see him do it.
Yes, there are several of you now.
Yeah. No, it's the ones that love our show so much they go back and watch this episode.
I thought that was just us. I thought that was just me.
And 2 years down the line, when they're like, let me see where the show was, they could be like,
Yeah.
he wasn't.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. I need to watch the first episode of The Footballers.
He's picking Arizona versus Lions. There's a delay, if that's what you mean. Yeah, there's a delay, absolutely.
He's picking Arizona, Detroit.
Yeah, and he's picking Arizona to win, and so am I.
Woo, me too. Can we just move on from this game? Do we have to talk about this game? Like, the Lions are horrendous. Like, anybody out there who needs to know, you should start at Amon or St. Brown this weekend. I wouldn't start Jared Goff. Wouldn't start any other Lions player, Amon or St. Brown, and that's pretty much it. On the Cardinal side of things, you got Deandre Hopkins is now out for the rest of the season. So it's going to be it's a toss-up as to which receiver is going to pick up the slack and get the targets. I just assume it's going to be A.J. Green. But I do definitely think it's going to be A.J. Green or Christian Kirk. I don't think it's going to be Rondale Moore. That's the one of the three receivers that I wouldn't want to be holding on to if I was trying to, make a play and get a replacement. My choice would be A.J. Green.
I think the only thing I really have to say about this.
And honestly, I'm sorry.
The only thing I really have to say is I think we could put the Jared Goff, Matthew Stafford, same thing argument to rest now.
We didn't do that already? No, I'm a mess. Okay. He had
not just for you, but there's a lot of people out there that feel that
Jared Goff was really good on Monday. He was really good. So I'm personally really worried about Zach Ertz in this game because Hopkins is now out for the year. So that's another option, is that like you have the three kind of, average receivers that could pick up targets. Sure, that's a thing, but also they have a really good tight end who they've already shown that they like to use. So Zach Ertz is.
Oh, you're worried about playing against him?
I have my playoff opponent has Zach Ertz, and I am worried that Zach Ertz is going to have a 25+ point game. I'm very worried about that. It's a very real concern.
The Lions' defense has been doing all right.
Yeah, they have. But they're obviously in pack-it-in mode now because T.J. Hawkinson said, we'll see in 2022. They haven't put Deandre Swift on IR yet, but he's not going to play again this week. So
that's 2 weeks, I think.
So we don't know if he's going to play again. I got him for $1. So in our league, I got Deandre Swift for $1. So if you're hearing this,
I have never looked at it that way. As far as picking players up off the wire, and I could be. I'm not saying it's the right way to look at it. I could absolutely. It's just a pull. It could absolutely be some way I need to evaluate. As far as my strategy, it's just a pull.
I know.
Okay.
It's just full, so I didn't want.
I got you.
Jeez.
So, I've always just worried more about the slot. The space on my team. Like, do I want this player taking up a space in my team kind of thing? I've never considered how much I think I still have the whole $100. I've never spent money on a player. And that's kicked me. It kicked me a couple times. Like there was a couple times I wanted to run me back.
You should definitely spend your fab on players when you have fab. But you should be identifying players that you want to have on your roster or not have on your roster. Mm-hmm. But also, after that, then there should be a price that you're willing to pay. It's only on Tuesdays. It's only as you go into the waiver claims where you have to fight other players, or you're going to put bids on players. But yeah, you should determine how much of your budget you're willing to spend on a player to get him on your team.
Yeah. So that's something I'm going to learn, right? That balance. Justin says hi. What's up, Justin? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, bro?
So I wasn't. And it's a weakness of mine and everything, right? So because, for an example, I could be playing a video game where you're playing against a boss, and it's like you have these potions and stuff that you're supposed to use, but I will end up
try and get through it without doing it.
Yeah, I end up finishing the game with max inventory because just in case one thing, and that's a weakness. I should. It's also a weakness to have
in
the
certain
whole budget.
Games. It is like in certain games, it's a really advantageous strategy because you get to the end and you get to like the boss fights and stuff like that, and you're just like,
but
just
if you use them,
you just pop in potions. But if you want to, that's the thing so you have the luxury of being able to get through those end combats, with with a bunch of potions, and it could just be easy. You don't have to actually, have a difficult fight if you don't want one.
Right.
In fantasy football, it's almost the opposite.
It is.
You want to get to the end of the regular season with $0.
Yes, and you want to spend the budget.
In the playoffs, ideally, I'd still have like $20, maybe 30.
It seems
because typically what happens is there's going to be one player, every year that was the waiver ad to make. That was the best one you could have made all year long. Anybody could have made all year long. This year it was Eli Mitchell for the 49ers. And last year it was James Robinson for the Jaguars. Both of those guys were on waiver wires after the draft season was over. And it wasn't until after week 1 that people figured out, we got to have this guy on a roster. And, if you had spent up and got, Eli Mitchell on your roster, you'd be in the playoffs.
Yeah. So, and that's kind of where I was going with it was it seems to me it took a season to learn that. And you would probably want to spend your budget as soon as you can in the season. Because
as soon as you identify the player that you think is going to be the can't miss, got to have him on my roster for the rest of the season. This guy is a fantasy star this year. If you can identify that player, and that's difficult. And like props to go to the team that finished in first this year because the same guy in our league had both of those players. That was Show Me Your TDs. Show Me Your TDs picked up Mitchell this year, and he had Robinson last year and picked him up off the waiver wire. And I was talking with him, and we were talking about you and your, because you scored so many points. You were the second highest scoring team in the league, and you didn't make the playoffs, and that was him last year. Is like he just had a lot of bad luck. His any of the weeks where he had a high score, they had just a little bit of higher score. And if he had down weeks, like his opponent just crushed him. so it happens. You shouldn't be upset about your season. You scored.
Oh, I'm not upset.
Yeah, you scored. Oh no. What I mean is like even if you were just like, even if this was your 5th fantasy season, and you were like determined to win going into the season, and we'll find out when we get there. How determined you are to win in season 5. But I don't think you should be disappointed. Like I wouldn't have been disappointed if that was the way that it went for me. If I had, scored as many points as you scored, had been as right, on like Cooper Kupp and Tyler Lockett and DeAndre Swift, and Matthew Stafford as you were, I wouldn't have been upset. Like your roster was solid. Like that was the only thing you didn't do was play the waiver wire.
I think
I say that like it's a small thing. The waiver wire is a really big thing in fantasy football.
what I was trying to say was, you would want to spend as much, from what it looks like, you'd want to spend as much as your budget as you can versus time, right? Because you could be waiting on the fence for that one player. But by the time you get to week 13, 14, 15, you're going to only have him for a couple more weeks.
It's kind it's kind of odd. Like, so what I was saying is the opposite of the video game type of
that's what I'm saying,
gathering that you're talking about.
Now that's the thought process.
But you want to maintain just enough ammunition to be able to take a shot
later on down the road,
like in the playoffs. So like for me right now, like I have to just hope that players fall to me, that other people don't identify the players that I identify as guys who are going to go off this weekend if I choose to make a move in the playoffs, because I don't have any fab left. It's gone.
Yeah.
So like while it was, I think, I feel like I used it mostly correctly this year, because my team was on the fence, and there were a couple guys I needed to get on my team. I overspent on Kadarius Toney was the only thing, but I think I'm pretty sure that if I had to do it over again, I'd probably just do it again. Like, not knowing how he was going to play out, I think I still would have went that hard after. Because I do believe in the talent of that guy, and I think he could still have a really good end of the season. We'll see. And on that note, that was the Arizona-Detroit game we finished talking about, right? And segued into just fantasy strategy.
Yeah.
And that was Bryan's pick, so that takes us to you.
Well, I'll pick the obvious. It's a Tuesday game.
Why are you picking the Tuesday games?
I mean,
there's still such
okay. Why don't you just pick the games?
Huh?
Just pick the games. Just give them to everybody.
Oh God.
Because it doesn't really matter to me.
Huh?
It doesn't really matter to me. Just pick the games. If there's like a certain way that they need to be distributed, just pick the games. I don't care.
No. It's just
I understand because everybody's off on Tuesday, right?
Yeah, well,
everybody's off on Tuesday.
The prime time.
Everybody
games.
can watch it.
Yeah.
But that's not what that's not like what I'm leaning into. What I'm leaning into is I want to talk about the game.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? More so than who's gonna watch it, like kind of thing.
Sure. I mean,
but
that's
so I don't care what game. Okay, so let's talk about it like this. Let's look at it like this. Everybody, just directing it to everybody. Outside of watching the Rams play, it doesn't really matter to me what game I watch.
Oh yeah, and
so it doesn't.
Yeah, but
really.
That's all three of us though, because Bryan's that way with the Steelers, and I'm that way with the Cowboys. So
that's why
it's just a division of labor.
That's why it doesn't matter to me if we pick it.
That's why. I guess what I'm getting at is you're cheating. So I guess what I'm getting at is you're cheating, because if you pick a Monday or Tuesday game, a primetime game, while there's still Sunday games on the slate. That's the game we were all going to watch anyway, so I'm still going to watch that game.
Yeah.
And now I have to pick another Sunday game.
But I'm not even thinking about like Sunday.
I am.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. Just distribute the games and then go from there.
All right. Well, I'm going to give you all the bad games then.
Give them to me.
Next time, you know what? I'm going to keep giving you the bad games until you go, you know what? I'm going to have to draft my
So which one is it?
All right. You're going to watch the Texans and Jaguars.
That's what I was going to pick anyway.
I know. So super psyched to talk about this game because my opponent this weekend,
that's Houston versus London,
has James Robinson. And the Houston Texans have given up something like 6 touchdowns to running backs in the last 3 weeks. Fucking Urban Meyer just got fired, and he was the only thing that was keeping James Robinson down.
I like this game.
Like in theory.
Because they're two terrible teams.
They are two terrible teams. Also, you can this is a great game for you to watch.
I go Jaguars
because
too.
Every time I kind of want to go the Jaguars too. Every time James Robinson scores, you can laugh at me. So,
in their quarterback, I trust more than the Houston one.
I don't.
Oh wait, hold on.
I don't.
Wait. Urban Meyer just got fired.
Huh?
Urban Meyer just got fired.
Urban Meyer got fired.
I'm gonna go Houston on this game.
See, that's so funny because a lot of people are going the other way. A lot of people are going the other way because how much he was hated in the locker room. There's a lot of stuff that's popped up over the last week. I think the most interesting thing that I saw was there was something on Instagram about him kicking his kicker in the leg.
What the fuck?
Like his kicker was just like stretching or doing warm-ups or something like that, and he came by and just like kicked him in the leg. He was like, "Make sure you make your kicks today," or something like that. And the kicker looks up at him and goes, "Don't you ever fucking kick me again." and he tells him some bullshit like, "I'm the head ball coach. I'll kick you whenever I want." And it's like, no, the fuck you won't, bro.
Because they're grown ass men at that point.
No, the fuck you won't.
Okay, so now I don't actually know the odds on this, but I'm curious how well football teams do the week after a firing.
That's what I'm saying. It depends.
I think from what I can just based off my memory,
if teams
it goes either way.
If teams were actually trying for the coach and he got fired, it's coin flip. Like for instance,
because I kind of felt like Raiders were doing better after they fired
Gruden.
Yeah.
I think they're same. I think they're right where they would have been.
Right. The couple weeks preceding afterwards.
Because so
Jeff Fisher, when Jeff Fisher got fired,
what happened?
Nope. They still were bad.
All that shit came out about Gruden, and he became a villain overnight. Whereas Urban Meyer has been fucking turning him, like Urban Meyer has been turning the team against him himself.
Yeah.
There has been no what happened to John Gruden? Love him or hate him, that was a hatchet job. The NFL fucked him, and then that's not over.
No, yeah, I know he's like in some sort of lawsuit.
Yes,
or something or other,
that's not over. So while a lot of players had problems, for obvious reasons with the things that he's done and he said, he didn't have a bunch of people hating him in the locker room. His players played hard for him. And I thought the Raiders were good. And I honestly do think the Raiders would have been better had none of that happened. Like, I think they were a better team before that happened. I think they kind of fell apart a little bit, dude. Because
they starting to.
You look, honestly, you kind of think about it, and it's like you don't know how chaotic their locker room was and stuff. And you don't know how it affected each player. But I kind of wonder, and I just wonder, like, does something like the thing that happened with Henry Ruggs in Las Vegas, like, does that happen if there wasn't, that kind of turmoil and like turnover in the organization and all that stuff going on, I don't know. You don't know.
I'm wondering from a short-term perspective, because we're only analyzing one game. A long-term perspective, it looks like the Raiders are not better off without a consistent head coach.
But I think the Jaguars are.
Short-term.
I think the Jaguars are better off without Urban Meyer.
Long-term, yes.
And it's going to be so. The guy taking over is not a long-term,
right?
A long-term solution. It's going to be Darrell Bevell, the offensive coordinator, but he is the offensive coordinator, and so I think that at least their offense will get better.
But for the 1 week, short-term, I'm wondering, what is the typical thing that happens, right? And
I don't think there's a typical thing.
I think that's kind of where we're at, right?
Yeah,
it's like a coin flip either way.
Yeah, I think you have to you just kind of have to try and read how like I said, you kind of have to read through the things that are being said through various forms of media, how the team actually feels about the coach, and all indications, and sometimes even this stuff is wrong too. It's so hard to predict. It's so hard to predict. But all indications are that the Jaguars are fired up. Urban Meyer's out and the Jaguars are fired up.
Okay.
Like, James Robinson's going to get a tremendous workload this weekend. He's going to get 30 touches. Like, start him wherever you have him. Like, start him as like a top 5 guy. Like, if you've got, 3 stud running backs and you can only start 2, make sure he's one of the ones you start. Because he's going to have a monster game against Houston, is the expectation.
So the question you guys want to ask yourself, if you're putting money on this game, is that fired upness of the Jaguars going to be better than the consistency of the Houston Texans?
Consistency? What? Like, their
consistent coach. That's it. I'm not saying like the consistency of winning or losing or making. No, just the consistency of having a staff, not an unchanging staff.
So
for 1 week, not long term. That's a whole nother game, whole nother story.
So
Short term, one game, one Sunday.
The bigger problem for the Jacksonville Jaguars this weekend is Davis Mills, quarterback.
I don't like how this is playing out, guys.
For the Houston Texans.
I don't like how this is playing out at all.
Yes.
This week, because
did you pick Jacksonville?
I'm going.
You did, right?
No, I'm going to go Houston Texans.
You're going to go Houston?
Yeah.
Fuck, I want to pick against you in this game.
I thought you were picking Jags.
No, I know.
So then you are picking.
Did I pick the Jags? Did I say it? I don't think I said it yet. I said I wanted.
I logged it, so you must have said it.
Did you? You logged it?
Yeah, I can change it. I can change it.
No, it's there. But this is a coin flip game, and that's why I say I just kind of want to pick against you, because I don't have strong feelings for either of the two teams winning.
Yeah.
I have strong feelings about some of the fantasy implications in this game, and I think Davis Mills is an excellent streamer for anybody who's streaming quarterbacks or has been forced into a stream, for the playoffs. He has 3 300-yard performances this year already, and 2 of them are against New England and the Los Angeles Rams. So I think the Texans
Tough
might
teams, right?
Yeah. I think the Texans might actually found themselves something there with Davis Mills. A couple of interesting pickups from the Texans also is Nico Collins at wide receiver. Like, if you lost Deandre Hopkins this week, you can pick up Nico Collins and start him as a third wide receiver. With what Hopkins was doing, needing the touchdowns and stuff, I don't think he's that far off. I think he's pretty good. And then there's the tight end, Brevin Jordan, I think is his name. And he's been getting some good targets, getting good work. And I think Brandon Cooks, obviously. I didn't lead off with him, but Brandon Cooks, if you've got him, you can start him with confidence this weekend. Of anybody for Houston. Like, he had a better game last week, and I think he's going to have a monster game this weekend.
So right now I have 3 standalone games.
Nobody cares about your standalone games, dude.
I'm just
People
saying.
tune in to listen to fantasy football advice.
We don't even talk about fantasy football advice that much. Not as much as we should.
I do. I do.
So, I guess what is it? Like Brian's turn or something to pick?
No, it's my turn, actually.
Okay.
And I'm going to pick the Cowboys game. I'll take the Cowboys-Giants. And obviously, I'm going to pick the Cowboys to roll. So we picked Arizona and Detroit. We picked Minnesota, Chicago. We picked Jacksonville, Houston. Right? What did Tequilla Bryan give us for Jacksonville, Houston?
He picked Jags. At least that's how I took it. He's all Jags.
I'm starting M. Jones in DIS. What's DIS, bro?
And
he corrected it, DFS.
And who are you picking on this next game too? And then hopefully you can give us the next game that also that you would like to take.
You pick Jacksonville, Houston.
He looks like he's picking Dallas. I'm picking Houston. Yeah.
You picked Houston.
Yeah.
So
he says he's picking Dallas, but he doesn't look happy about it.
And Bryan. So who are you picking, Ray?
For Cowboys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm picking Cowboys.
Who did you pick?
Looks like we're unanimous on that.
Did we all take Minnesota?
Yes, we all picked Minnesota. It looks like we're all picking Cowboys.
And that's a primetime game. You're watching this game. I'm watching this game. And we're all taking Cowboys?
Yep. Still plenty of games out there too.
We all took Arizona. Brian's watching this game. Okay. All right. Coming down to it. All right. This is good. All right. Cowboys, Giants. So that Cowboys Washington football team game last weekend was glorious. Absolutely glorious. It was exactly the way that I thought it was going to go down. Could not have scripted it any better if it was in a movie.
What game?
The Cowboys Washington game.
Okay.
Cowboys and the football team. Taylor Heineke's bad. He's really bad.
That team needs to come up with a name.
If you were paying attention last week, I talked about the players that the Cowboys were getting back, and they all did damage. Randy Gregory had a sack and an interception where he batted the ball up into the air and caught it. And then Neville Gallimore had a ridiculous sack where he threw the Washington guard into Taylor Heineke. and sacked him at like the 5-yard line or something like that. And Micah Parsons has people talking about him for MVP now. We're not even talking like we've gone from talking about him to potential defensive rookie of the year to potential defensive player of the year to now like MVP because that's the type of plays that he's making. The play that he made that resulted in the touchdown. I'm gonna remember that play for a long time. That was it was just game breaking. Like what are you supposed to do? Like you had like half a second before he was busting the play up, and your quarterback is getting hit in the elbow, and you're getting scored on by the defense. Like we're seeing stuff that we haven't seen, and like we're talking like Lawrence Taylor now. That's how good he's playing. And that's crazy to be like mentioned in the same breath as Lawrence Taylor is crazy. But he deserves it. And so I think the Cowboys are going to roll in this game. And again, for those of you who are paying attention solely for
anybody's-
how I'm going to do in my fantasy football championship run, I have I'm scared here because I think this is another game where the Cowboys can score on defense. The Washington offense, or excuse me, the New York offense is worse than the Washington offense. They're like actually worse than the Washington offense because the Washington offense has a decent offensive line, and they had actual weapons. Terry McLaurin got knocked out early in that game. Okay, that reminds me, for anybody who's another looking for receivers, Cam Sims for the Washington football team. He had a ridiculous 50-50 ball catch for a touchdown and made a couple other plays where it's just like, wow, that guy is actually like, he looks like more of a alpha athlete than Terry McLaurin does. Like, for sure. Like, if Cam Sims, if his hands are as good as McLaurin's and he can run the routes, he's like, he would be the number one and McLaurin would be the number two for sure. Like that's pretty easy to see. He stands out when you watch him. Yeah, definitely a player to pick up. Like, yeah, don't leave him out there. You don't want to play against him. Don't know when McLaurin's going to come back. So for starts in this game, like, you got to start Dak, you got to start CD, you got to start Amari Cooper. You can jump off of Dalton Schultz now if you haven't already. Since Michael Gallup has come back, all of Schultz's targets have gone Gallup's way. I was unsure and I picked up Michael Gallup and I'm really happy about that. I almost didn't do it because I wasn't sure if Gallup was going to get those targets when he came back. But since he's come back, I think his target count is something like 8, 10, 9, 9 or something like that. He's got almost 40 targets in the last 4 games. So you can start Michael Gallup with confidence as well. You have to start Zeke in most. Like, if you have Zeke, you usually have to start him. I have the luxury / headache of being able to choose between not starting him, but it's gonna be hard not to, because Zeke was the guy that I planned on this year. Like, when I got him for what I got him for in the draft, I was like, okay, I think I have a real shot to win this championship because I just underpaid for the guy that I think is going to have one of the best fantasy playoff runs, of anybody out there. So, going to be hard not to start him. On the Giants side, that's it. Long fart. That is what their offense is. Their offense is just a wet fart. It is bad.
So Bryan is saying over here he's picking Denver versus Bengals, and he's saying that he's picking Denver, and he's saying that the Broncos have
their running game is awesome
at some point right now.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if somebody can stop that Broncos running game, because right now they've got a 2-headed monster that's I honestly I'm drawing a blank on the last time we had a team use 2 running backs the way that they're using both of those running backs, because both of them are getting all of the different carries, in the various parts of the field. The only thing I would say is it seems like the team still trusts Melvin Gordon more than they trust Javonte Williams, because if they get inside the 10-yard line, Melvin Gordon's getting most of the work. So you kind of, like, if you've got Javonte Williams, you've been lucky that he's been, scoring from farther away, because most of the inside work goes to Melvin Gordon, but they're both going to score. That running game has been awesome. The thing that I worry about is that their passing game is still so bad that if a team just loads up the box and the Bengals have a tough enough defense to do it, that maybe they could stop the run, force them to pass, because the Bengals have an actual offense that can stop them from scoring. If they stop them from scoring, can put them in a hole. And then if Teddy Bridgewater has to, I've said this before, if Teddy Bridgewater is if you're trying to play catch up with Teddy Bridgewater, you're losing the game. Like, he's not a quarterback who's going to pass his way back into the game. He's not going to bring you back. You get down by 20 points with Bridgewater as your quarterback, and the game's over.
So who you picking?
I will pick Cincinnati.
So we got a split. Cincinnati. Have you guys split yet? You guys haven't split a game.
We haven't?
No.
Really? We're doing that now, though? He's picking Denver?
Yeah, he's picking Broncos.
Okay. Do we have all the other picks up there? Yeah, so I won't put another one up there yet.
Which means one of you is about to have a standalone game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. One of us is getting our first standalone game. Bryan needs to stop copying me.
You said you went with the Bengals, right?
I did, yeah.
Okay. So who do we give the standalone game to? I don't have an opinion one way or the other. I know the Bengals are coming off a loss. Broncos won. Right? Bengals played Frisco last week, right? And lost.
Yeah.
So the Bengals are coming off a loss. They barely lost, though.
They play tough.
They barely lost, but they lost the 49ers.
The Bengals are still so the Bengals are the team that I like best out of the AFC North. We're getting to the point where we're going to talk about it, but I think the Ravens are toast. I think the Steelers are soft. The Bengals can.
Where are they playing?
The Bengals can play defense. The Bengals run the ball well, and they can score points in the passing game. They have the quarterback that's going to beat you. Of those three teams, I think that's what's going to set them apart is Joe Burrow and the passing game.
Where are they playing?
This game?
Yeah.
This game's in Denver.
Yeah, I'll go with Denver then.
Woo! Standalone for me. All right. That's how you set yourself apart. So that was Tequilla Bryan's pick, and now we're back to you. And the game, I think we're on to the last game. So you actually get what?
No, we got Packers, Ravens, Raiders, Browns, Saints, Buccaneers.
Those ones are. When I say last game, I mean last
Sunday game.
Last game to pick.
What's this last Sunday game?
Packers, Ravens. So it's
that's
actually
an easy one,
and it could be good. It could be a really good game. I'm gonna start by picking the Packers in this game. Aaron Rodgers is rolling. Like, toe be damned. His toe ain't going to stop him. I really do think that the Browns just punched the Ravens in the mouth last week. Like, the final score was 24-22.
I don't think anybody's going to go Ravens.
But if you watch that game, it wasn't close. The Ravens lost Lamar Jackson early in the game. I don't know if Lamar is playing this week. I'm sorry. I haven't seen that. Even if Lamar is playing this week, I don't have any confidence in the Ravens to be able to beat the Packers because that Browns team, like the Browns offense is not being led by Aaron Rodgers is the nicest thing I can say about Baker Mayfield right now because I'm not sure if that guy can actually make NFL throws. The way that he was missing guys. And I'm sorry, I should caveat that by saying he does have a lot of injuries, and so maybe it's injuries, but I don't think so, man, because he's not like these aren't like tough throws where it's like he's on the run and it's like, oh yeah, he just he couldn't quite get it there because his arm is sore. We're talking about like timing hitch routes where he fucking just like misses the guy by 5 yards. It's ugly. If you're a Browns fan, I feel so bad for you. To have to watch big because
I have felt bad for Browns fans.
No,
for years.
I haven't because like you don't feel bad for bad organizations, but they're not in that spot anymore. They're like they're a decent organization. They've drafted well the last few years, and they have this on the cusp team that if they just had a quarterback who could fucking complete a 15-yard pass like accurately.
Do you think they do all those commercials like before the season even starts?
Yes, they don't have time to do that in season.
Right, that's what I was wondering.
Yeah.
They annoy the shit out of me.
Me too. I mean, honestly, when I think about those commercials, I almost feel kind of bad for him because the way that Baker Mayfield is playing, he's not going to be doing those commercials for very long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, another Baker Mayfield commercial.
So all of us
these will be novel.
All of us seem to have picked the pack. What I haven't liked about watching the Ravens a lot this year is I feel like
the Packers. What you don't like about the Packers?
No, Ravens.
Oh, the Ravens.
We're watching the Ravens. I feel like they barely give anybody a chance to run the ball.
The Ravens have always been a stout defense. Since they became the Ravens, since they moved from Cleveland to Baltimore and became the Ravens, all of a sudden they that's just
when did that happen?
Thing. 95.
And then the Browns just became the Browns again.
No, okay. Okay. So a little for anybody else who doesn't know,
I vaguely know the history.
In 1995, the Cleveland Browns packed up and left, and moved to Baltimore, and became the Ravens. At the start of the 1996 season, I think it is what it was. Start of the 96 season was the first, and actually, their first draft pick was Ray Lewis. So they moved to Baltimore.
I understand that part.
They drafted Ray Lewis, and became a formidable defensive team.
When did they win the Super Bowl?
2000.
So it took about 5 years.
It was Ray Lewis's 5th year.
2001. It would have been 2001, I think.
January of 2001. But it was the 2000 season. It was Ray Lewis's 5th year.
99 is when the Rams won the Super Bowl. They went back the following year and lost against the Patriots.
No, they didn't go back the following year. It was the year after.
Was it?
Yep.
Okay.
The year after, let's see. Who...
We got Google.
Who did they... So, the 2000 Rams...
They played against the...
if I remember correctly, like the 2000 Rams had scored even more points than the 99 Rams. I can't remember who they lost to.
January 31st, 1999 was Broncos and Falcons.
Yeah. That was the 98 season.
So the 2000 season.
The Dirty Bird, for people who might remember, the Dirty Bird.
January 2000 was when the Rams won against... it would be the Titans, but I'm not reading that here. Hold on.
Tennessee Titans.
Yeah, Titans.
And that was the 99 season. The 2000 season was New York and Baltimore.
2001... Ravens beat the Giants
35-7. 34-7?
34-7.
Yeah. It was not a competitive game. That was the least competitive Super Bowl I've watched in my life. And that includes I can't even remember how bad the Seahawks beat the Broncos that year in 2013 or whatever that was. But that Giants game was bad. Real bad.
You know, when
the Giants shouldn't have been there. It should have been the Vikings, but the Giants had the NFC Championship game at home, and the Vikings went up there and laid an egg and lost. I believe that game was like 41-0. It was really bad. Randy Moss was in his, he was still a youngster in his prime, killing people. The Vikings should have been purple on purple in that Super Bowl, and it would have been much more entertaining.
They should have both wore purple.
So we've been off tangent for quite a little while. You picked Ravens in this one?
No, nobody did. Nobody did.
Damn it.
No one did.
All right, so we're moving on now to the primetime games. I'll let you guys pick first while I write the other picks on the board.
I'll just go in the order of how I got them. So we'll do the Raiders versus Browns.
Do we get? No, I'm sorry. The first primetime game is Saints Bucks.
Do you want to switch to Saints Bucks then, or?
Huh? Saints Bucks is the first primetime game. No. It doesn't matter.
Okay, so I already typed out Raiders versus Browns, so we'll talk about that one. So why don't you go ahead and give us your pick, Bryan, when you get a chance. And if you guys are out there listening and you want to throw your picks out there, we could absolutely mention what you guys think too, your picks, and we'll record it. Viewer picks or something like that, Raiders versus Browns. That's probably my initial thought is it's probably going to go.
I'm picking the Browns.
But yeah, that's kind of where I was. It looks like we're unanimously picking the Browns on that one.
Yeah. So, as one of our viewers pointed out earlier, the Raiders are going to be without Hunter Renfrow, who, if you haven't been watching the Raiders for the last few weeks, is their entire offense. So the Browns are going to be able to load up the box and stop Josh Jacobs. And I thought Josh Jacobs was going to have a rough game this weekend anyway. So, I really don't think the Raiders stand much of a chance in this game. The line is the Browns by 1.5. I think they'll cover that.
Next up, we have
Saints Bucks.
Okay, we have Saints versus Bucks. I think this is going to be another unanimous.
Oh, you do?
I think it's going to.
Yeah,
be
I'm finding it hard to pick the Saints in this game. I want to because the Buccaneers defense is just they're shaky. The Buccaneers defense is shaky. They traditionally play really well against Tampa Bay with or without Tom Brady, and they've been able to actually shut down Tom Brady. So last season they played 3 times against each other. I'm gonna be bold. I'm gonna pick New Orleans.
You're getting tired of being with everybody, huh? With the crowd.
I just said I was gonna be bold.
Yeah. Bold pick. Now we just need.
I'm gonna pick the Saints. I don't feel super strong about it, but Alvin Kamara shows up in the fantasy playoffs, so I think that's gonna happen. The Buccaneers have been worse against running backs than what we've come to expect over the last year and a half. So
let's see how that plays out for him.
And all the anywhere you have Alvin Kamara, don't be afraid. Start him confidence. Another one of those top 5 guys. We were talking about earlier. Guys that I would start over. Who was it? James Robinson this week. Alvin Kamara still is probably one of those guys.
So next game you want to talk about? Seahawks Rams or Washington Eagles?
We'll leave your game for last.
Okay. So this Washington Eagles game is one of those games I feel like one of us might be standing alone on.
Well,
but I'm not 100% sure on
you
that.
can kind of.
It's not going to be me.
You guys should know. You can determine that already because I will not pick the Eagles.
Yeah, no, you're not picking the Eagles.
I will not pick the Eagles.
Washington's
Fuck you,
been
Eagles
doing
fans.
What time did you say that?
We're gonna have to. Yeah, you know what? We should have a chime.
Go live at 1:17. He said that on podcast 1:16ish. Eagles. So we got an Eagles and we got a Washington pick. Yes.
Am I standalone-ish?
No. I'm gonna put Bryan.
You are?
I'm gonna put Bryan on the. No, I can't be. You guys both pick. You guys are split.
Oh, we're split.
You and Bryan are split.
Bryan picked Philly?
Bryan picked Philly.
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and give Bryan his standalone game for the week.
Pick Washington. Yeah, so I was saying earlier, Cam Sims is the most interesting player to watch in this game. Because I think it would be crazy to me after what he did against the Cowboys last week if they didn't find a way to get him more targets. I still also like DeAndre Carter if McLaurin isn't going to play, if he's not back from the concussion protocol. I think they can run Cam Sims as the one, and DeAndre Carter then gets more targets because he has to be the number 2 instead of being the slot guy. And I actually think he's pretty good. So he's really a dart throw in DFS more than anything, and really kind of both of those guys. I don't think you really want to be on anybody other than Antonio Gibson for the Washington football team, which thankfully I am. So I'll be starting Antonio Gibson this weekend and looking to stay away from every other Washington football team player. And then on the other side, we still don't know if Jalen Hurts is going to play. I don't think that has a tremendous effect on anybody other than the Philly running backs. Miles Sanders is supposed to be back this weekend.
I don't know who Washington's quarterback is.
Washington's quarterback's Taylor Heineke.
There you go. Well, no, I think he's injured or COVID or something.
If it's not Taylor Heineke, it's Taylor Heineke in a Kyle Allen jersey, because they're the same guy. They play the same. It's like you can't.
His backup plays like
he looks just like him.
What's his name?
Stature. His backup's name is Kyle Allen. Taylor Heineke is a starter. Wears number 4. Kyle Allen is the backup. Wears number 8. If you just put Heineke's jersey on Kyle Allen, you wouldn't be able to tell that it wasn't Taylor.
Okay, I get you now.
Yes, you would not be able to tell that it wasn't Taylor Heineke. He would play exactly the same, looks the same. So, yeah, they look like they've just got themselves, like if you're playing Madden, they've got themselves 2 72 rating quarterbacks. Both of their quarterbacks are an overall rating 72.
What's going on with the football team? Are they getting a real name anytime soon?
Next year. They made an announcement, I think, just after the season started, that they were going to, I think, so the NFL has their league New Year's date, which is in April. Mm-hmm. And I believe, and there's all kinds of paperwork that has to be filed then. And I imagine that's when it will happen.
Gotcha. Do you think they already have a name, or have they already?
No, I think they're going to actually poll people.
Poll?
Yeah, I think they're going to let people vote on it, actually, which is cool. That's cool.
Which should be the Washington bigwigs.
Dude, all I got to say is
the Washington.
Don't do some fucking bullshit like they did with the Cleveland Indians. They turned the Cleveland Indians into the Cleveland Guardians.
When did that happen? I don't follow baseball.
Dodgers are winning. This was the last year that they'll be called the Cleveland Indians.
Okay, gotcha. Because I was like, I don't remember that happening yet.
It's upcoming. Like we haven't seen. It's gonna be bad. They're gonna I've seen the jerseys and stuff like
Washington
that.
Guardians.
They look like the Angels from the 1990s. So if you remember the movie Angels in the Outfield, that's what the Guardians are gonna look like.
What about the Angels?
The Angels now look like the Rangers, because how the Rangers actually the Angels now look how the Rangers looked from the 2000 to 2010 era. Sorry guys, we're talking about baseball now. But the Rangers have changed their colors, because the Angels now are mostly just like red and white or red and gray.
Do you think the Washington football team will change their colors? They got ugly colors already as it is.
No, they don't. What are you talking about? You don't like the burgundy and gold?
No.
You're wrong.
But
you're wrong, dude.
However, it's not like there's very many colors
honestly,
to choose from.
I'm sorry to any of my Native American friends that might be listening. Quanish, sorry, bro. I'm gonna miss the Redskins. And
I think the natives are split on that anyway. So it's half of them don't care and half of them,
it's a political argument. And just like any other political argument, if you've got 10 people in the room, 6 of them agree and 4 of them don't.
Yeah.
Just on any given random topic. That is the nature of stuff like that.
But if they go to something like the Guardians,
the thing is they have so much history as the Washington Redskins, and I don't want to be
light,
racially, culturally insensitive, but in my 37 years on Earth, I have never heard someone derogatorily use the word Redskin. I have never heard someone say, "Oh, fuck them Redskins."
I think you're right. But I'm wondering, since you brought that up,
and we live near a very large base,
very large population of
there's
Americans.
There's a lot of them around here.
I wonder if the team name was made in racist connotations, but that's beside the point. We're getting a little sidetracked. I would more rather talk about what their name is going to be.
Okay, here's what I think about that. First of all, and then we can move on. I just want to say one more thing about that. I don't think that if you own and maybe I'm wrong because maybe back in 1960, owning a sports franchise wasn't nearly as prestigious as it is today. But I can't imagine that I would, own an NFL franchise even in 1960 and name it something hateful.
Yeah.
Because that's your if you own a football team, that's your baby.
But I guess
you're going to name your baby after something you hate.
I guess the question becomes: was it considered hateful back then? It's considered hateful now.
It was considered more hateful back then than it is now, because they were closer to it. They were
maybe I said it wrong. It wasn't considered like. It's kind of like watching the old school cartoons, and you can see like racist stuff happen in old but it was just like ha 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 funny. And there's an episode of the Munsters. The Munsters is very racist. If you go back and watch that, it's super racist.
There's a bunch of those shows.
Yeah, and back then it was just kind of like it's hateful. You can tell that it's hateful, but it wasn't to them back then. So. And I'm just wondering if that's kind of what happened with that name. I don't think so. I would align with you. I think
social media is very powerful, and what happened is that there was probably originally a small group of people that picked this torch up and started carrying it around, the torch of we hate this name and want it changed, and they were successful. Kudos to them, because they got what they wanted done, and they made it a national story that was it was around the neck of the Washington football team for like 6 years or something like that before they finally caved and stopped calling themselves the Redskins.
Would you be more upset with a name change or a color change?
Color change.
Yeah. Okay.
They've been called the Washington football team for 2 years now, but they still look like the same team.
Just with a T on their helmet or whatever it is.
They put numbers. They put numbers.
They got the numbers.
I would so rather them have that insignia, the W, the Washington football team symbol thing that they do for whenever you see them being talked about on TV and stuff like that. I would so rather that be on their helmet than numbers. The numbers to me is so 1960s, and it's throwback stuff is fun sometimes. But in on a week in, week out basis, you need to be looking modern. And honestly, I wish the NFL would just have throwback weeks. Where
they were doing that on Thursday for a while.
What they were doing was color wash. So what that was specifically for people who were colorblind. If anybody who didn't know that, why the Thursday night games were hideous for a while is because they went out of their way to make it obvious to people who were colorblind which teams were which.
Well, 1 of every 10 men are colorblind. So,
how many out of every 10 men watch football?
I don't know. When you start doing the statistical analysis like that, I don't know. Of those 10 men, I would just think that it would be broken down to of every 10 men who watch football, 1 of them's colorblind. But
that's funny. Damn you.
For women, it's something it's way different. It's 1 out of every 100 or something like that for women. I don't remember the exact number, but
yeah, we're just less smart.
I'm surprised. I even recalled the other number.
So we picked that game, right?
Yes, we did. And then I was just
Brian's alone.
So that's hilarious.
The Washington Pigfuckers. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. We should actually,
what were you reading that out? The Washington what?
Washington Pigfuckers. He put it up there. That's hilarious. What's hilarious?
I don't see Washington Pigfuck. What?
Look on the screen right there. It's right there. How do you not see it?
Whoa. I think YouTube censored it out. YouTube censored it out.
Pigfuckers?
Yeah.
You can't say pig fuckers on
I
YouTube?
guess not.
Am I going to get us in trouble by saying pig fuckers?
You might be. You might.
YouTube, is there something wrong with pig fuckers? Please let us know.
We will if the video gets taken down.
Please advise.
If the video gets taken down, and my channel gets suspended.
That would be terrible over pig fuckers.
Yeah, especially since you keep doing it. I have other content on this channel, not just this.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's right there. So
it is right there.
So what is that?
I'm seeing it. So that right there is a third-party program that displays all the chat content.
But YouTube it can be. So that's an actual transcript of what's happening, and then YouTube washes out whatever they want to wash out.
Yeah, if I could show you like the YouTube chat itself, like if somebody goes on YouTube looking at the chat, it's not on there.
Okay.
And I didn't censor it.
Huh.
I have censored other people's comments, and then that's why you'll see ... go up. Sometimes you'll look and there's just my name and there's dot because I censored it off. But basically, because that's a third-party program.
Yeah.
But it's cool. I don't mind. It's a learning experience for all of us.
Yeah.
The channel's not so big that it's gonna probably get flagged. You know what I mean? But that was just weird.
Just demonetized.
Because you kept saying it, and I was just like,
no, they just demonetized you.
I was like, what are you talking about?
That's what, according to Rogan, that's what YouTube will do.
Yeah,
it's just like
in the big channels,
they'll just demonetize episodes that break certain rules.
That's interesting though, because I've never seen that as something that would be a thing to unless their algorithm just automatically finds words that are attached like that and just
sure. I imagine
it could have been anything in front of that and it would have got taken out. But yeah, that was my bad.
What do you think the Washington football team name should be?
Well, I was just saying, like when you said the Guardians, right? It's going to be something about that in it. I would think it would be something related around the area that they're in, right? So they're in Washington. Football team? Yeah, they're in Washington D.C. So it's probably gonna be. But when you mentioned the
Senators,
Guardians, Sentinels, something like that.
I think at one
the Capitals.
I think they might have. There might have been a Washington Senators team at one point. I do believe that was a team.
Washington what?
Senators.
Oh,
I think that was a football team at one point. So and there's already a hockey team called the Senators. So it's something that could easily be done. The color scheme could change slightly, but maybe it won't. I hope that it won't.
Criminals.
So
okay, I get it.
Huh?
The criminals, Washington Criminals.
Who said that?
Darla, you can't. Oh,
I can't see that one.
See, yeah, Darla did.
The Washington Criminals.
And as a reference to Congress or whatever. That's
how I took it. That's good. Yes, that's good. If that was a reference to Congress, Darla, that's hilarious. So here the twist is they're just going to go back to exactly the same moniker that they had before. The sweet, the really cool Indian with the feather, and they're going to call themselves the Savages.
You think the oh yeah. I'm mixing my teams up. I had to sit there and think about what it used to look like. That would be terrible, dude. That'd be terrible, but
yeah, savage. Like
anyway, but yeah,
that's the way to go. That's the way to go. Best way to go. Just
last game,
throw it right in their face. We're not called the Redskins anymore. We're the Savages now.
And that would be savage.
That would be savage. All right.
Last game, Seahawks Rams.
Also a candidate for the best game of the week. You've got the Seahawks are playing a lot better.
Lockett's out. If they're moving it to Tuesday,
we don't know exactly. Because this game's been moved to Tuesday, so we're not sure. Because up until players actually test positive for COVID, we don't really know who's vaccinated and who's not vaccinated. All we know is that the NFL required teams to have a certain percentage of vaccinated players, and they all met those requirements. So it pops up every week that a player will get COVID and not be vaccinated and have to miss a game or two, depending on when it was that they tested positive, because they have to miss, I think, like 10 to 14 days.
So what I'm hearing is you like the Seahawks.
I don't. Like this is the one where I think earlier I said the Falcons have their pack it in game. The 49ers are going to send them packing, and they can start thinking about next year. I think this is the game for the Seahawks where the dream dies, and they start thinking about next year, and people start talking again about Pete Carroll, being on his way out, and the Rams can stay in contention for the NFC West because I think that's a thing. I'd be worried if I was a Rams fan, I'd be super worried if they don't win this game. Super worried.
Yeah. So I don't worry about the Seahawks like I used to worry about the Seahawks. When I was Jeff Fisher, I used to worry about the Seahawks. But since Sean McVay's taken over, the Seahawks has only beaten him, I believe, one time. So I don't remember what season that was. Might have been earlier this season.
We'd have to look back at that. So I know that there's a triangle of this team always beats this team going on in the West.
Yeah, see,
with the 49ers, the Rams, and the Seahawks. There's I think it's Shanahan keeps beating the crap out of McVay.
Yes.
McVay keeps beating the crap out of Carroll, and Carroll keeps beating the crap out of Shanahan. I think is the way that's been playing out. And it played out recently. I missed that game where I picked the 49ers to win over the Seahawks because the Seahawks woke up in that game, and
something just bugs each other about them coaches. It's weird. But I think
game plan. It's just so in boxing they say that styles make fights.
Yeah. Well, all fights they say that.
Huh?
MMA they say that too.
Excuse me. In fighting,
combat sports.
In combat sports they say that styles make fights, and it's true. And the same's true in team sports as well. If you can actually identify the styles that the teams are fighting with, and that's the thing is after a while of coaches being in the same division together. They do. They know exactly what the other guy is trying to do to them, and their teams are set up. So the thing is how do I put this?
Well, while you're thinking about
the team, go ahead.
I would say that the Rams have to win this. The Rams have to win out. They have to win out, and they have to hope the Cowboys beat the Cardinals. And they
have to win out to what? Have to win out to what?
To take over the conference.
Take over first. Okay.
Yeah.
Not to break the playoffs for sure.
Not the conference, the division.
I think one more win gets you into the playoffs in NFC.
I meant to say the division.
They get to 10 wins and they're in. So
in order to not be a wild card.
I think that I'm pretty sure the Rams are a 99% chance to win to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
At this point.
I'm talking more like I want them to bump the Cardinals. In order to bump the Cardinals, they have to win out, and the Cardinals have to lose 2. I believe if I looked at that right. Cardinals can lose 2. They got the Cowboys.
They're gonna lose the Cowboys.
And who else do they have? I know they have Detroit, right? That's this week.
The Cowboys are going to end up with the number 1 seed.
So they got Detroit. That's this week. And then who's that other team?
So the Cardinals are going to lose the Colts. That's the other team they're going to lose to.
Okay, so
they're going to lose to the Colts, and they're going to lose to the Cowboys. So
we're going to get a pretty good idea about that this week when they play Detroit. Because Detroit has a decent defense, so it might not be really. They might not. The Lions are probably going to lose because they can't score. I think that's how that's going to play out.
The Lions?
Yeah, they're going to probably lose because they can't score. They'll be able to make. I have this theory, and maybe you can weigh in on this theory. Okay, and it's in my mind. I've never shared it with anybody. I believe, and it's about 20.5 points to 21 points. That in the game, I think it's 20.5. I think that's where my heart is. If your offense scores 21.5 points or 21 points without turning the ball over and you lose, that's because the defense lost the game for you.
Oh, yeah.
And vice versa. If the defense holds the team to less than 20.5 points and you don't win, then that's the offense's fault.
Yeah, I think on that note, I think it was Warren Sapp who famously came out and said, like when the Buccaneers defense was really, really good. Like in my opinion, they were on par with that Ravens defense from the 2000 era. He said, just all we need is 17 points. Score 17 points and we'll win every game. Was what he told Trent Dilfer, the quarterback of the Buccaneers at the time. Mm-hmm. So yes, that's true. If you have a solid defense, 21 points, huh?
There's a comment. You want to? We did.
Yes.
We are aware that they are Tuesday games.
Yes.
And we picked.
That's why we started talking about them later, because they're on Tuesday, and we would draft them to see who's going to watch them.
But where do you think that line is? Right, he said 17.5, but he was 17, but he was talking about their team then. Just you said he was saying if
the points.
Yeah,
where do I think the line is?
But where do you think the line is?
I think
just
24.
in general.
I think a 24 is a fair number.
So you're giving the defense even more leeway
now, because of the rules.
Because it's gearing towards the offense.
24 to 28, somewhere in that range. Like if you score above 24 points,
I think 28 is high.
If you score above 24 points,
that's a touchdown a quarter.
And you didn't turn, but the pace of play.
Yeah.
If you figure possessions, so the average game a team is going to have somewhere between 7 and 9 possessions, I think is the average for each team. Mm-hmm. So if a team scores 4 touchdowns, that was incredibly efficient.
But as far as where you can lay the fault of a win or a loss in a no turnover game,
you think so? Like 24 points.
24.
That's what I would say.
So then, what you would say, like 23.5, maybe?
Because the reason I say that is because 24 points is typically 4 scores.
Yeah, three. So, that would be 3 touchdowns.
So if you scored on 50% of your drives and you didn't turn the ball over, that means your opponent had to march down the field 75 yards to score at least 5 times. And on the other times, it could have been worse because you punted the ball to them. So they could have been even worse as far as where they started. That means they started with an average starting field position of something under the 30-yard line. And so, your defense lost you the game if you didn't win that game.
So I want to put this to the comments, you guys. When you listen to this podcast, please leave a note in the comment. Where is the number line in order where you can blame the offense or the defense on the win or the loss with a no turnover game? Okay. Now, because everything changes when it's a turnover game. Because now you can blame this, the offense, you can blame that, and you could, if we were to put a modifier in there, I would say for every offensive turnover, the defense gets an additional 7-point leeway.
Yeah,
7 points, maybe, because usually it ends up being like a pick six or something. There, the momentum swings so much when that happens, it usually results in a pretty good score. And if it doesn't, that's just more kudos to the defense. You know what I mean? But that's also a whole nother set of a whole nother drive that they're going to be beat up and fatigued towards the end of the game. So that was kind of where my thought was on everything. I thought 20.5 with the +7 modifier for turnovers. That's how I would call it. But without the turnovers, without thinking,
I'm thinking 4 scores. That's that because of the possession count. Mm-hmm. That for the reasons that I outlined just now, I think 4 scores. And you figure, so 24 points is really only, if depending, how you did it, could have been 3 scores. Could have been 3 touchdowns. Mm-hmm. But usually it's not. So, I think if a team, like I said, the way the games play out, if there's no turnovers on either side and a team scores 24 points, they're usually going to win.
So Bryan is thinking it's around 21.
Yeah.
If you were to say 21 and scored 21 points and lost,
I don't think you could feel that bad. I honestly don't say that's why I say that is because I think if you lost 24 to 21 in a no turnover game, you couldn't say that your defense lost you the game.
Well, that's where we're trying to
But if
figure
you
out.
lost 28-24,
Because that's what I do want to say.
if you lost 28-24 in a no turnover game,
Yeah.
you could you'd be upset at your defense, and really not even that upset, because that's like, a team scoring 28 points is going to be, like maybe top 10 in terms of scoring for that week.
Right.
Maybe.
Okay. So
So
let me get back to this number line real quick, and then we're going to talk about that. But the around 21, if you scored 21 points and lost, whose fault does that lie on? Right, from a technicality.
offense. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's a 24.
And that's why
because at 24 points.
Well, same thing applies to the 24. But the idea is when you land on the number, that's why I picked half a point, 20 and a half. Mm-hmm. So there's a distinct line.
But you can't score 20.5 points.
I know, right?
So pick a number that they can score.
No.
Say 22.
So 21 is 21. If you score 21 and lost, the defense didn't hold their end of the deal, right? Or
I disagree with that.
So
And,
even if it was 23 and a half, it was 23 and a half.
And that's what I'm saying is that
whatever number
that's,
you pick.
That's still and like, so if
I'm talking about the half point.
'cause
Putting a solid
that is just tough.
put a fence up.
It's tough for me to say that it's honestly, dude, as far as defense losing you the game in today's age, it is really hard for me to say the defense lost you the game if they didn't give up 30 points.
Well, let's look up the average right now. Let's just see.
The
Average
best
points scored.
So I believe the teams who are leading the NFL in points against are gonna, like, you typically you'll have a couple of teams that are in the mid-teens as far as points given up per game, and then you'll have a couple of teams that are somewhere around 20, and the vast majority of teams are going to be giving up somewhere between 22 and 28 points a game.
Are you helping me yet, Google?
Google.
My team average scoring margin.
I'm gonna pick another chocolate. Let's see if I can do, like, the last one I had was good. Let's do this one. How's this one?
The last one you had was good. This isn't what I'm looking for.
That's all right.
NFL team total offensive stats. That's yards, points. This doesn't look like it's going to be a quick Google search. Maybe that's why it's such an interesting question.
Hold on. I got you.
Never in the NFL history have more than 3 teams average 30 points a game. So that's something. Points. I think.
Yeah. So this thing's being really slow.
So it looks like points per game. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are averaging 31.5. If I'm reading this right, they've got a combined 410 points with 31.5. And then Dallas Cowboys has a combined 380 points at 29.2. Kansas City has a combined 385 at 27.5 points per game. I'm just going to read the points per game average. Vikings is at 26.5. And Los Angeles Chargers at 27.1. Oh, I wish these things, these are not.
We all picked the Rams.
I wish these things were, yeah, we did. They're also on the board behind you.
I picked New Orleans, and you guys both picked Tampa Bay?
On the screen behind you. Tampa Bay. Where are you, Buccaneers? Yeah, you're standalone in the Buccaneers game.
Okay, and then you picked Miami.
So I was trying to figure out. You know what I probably could do? I could probably
All the picks are on the board. We only have one.
do this. Hold on. Statistics are updated nightly. Let's do this. Copy.
You're still trying to find the points against?
I think it's an interesting thing to talk
So,
about.
Sure, that's an interesting stat dive, you know. But as far as like the podcast is concerned, we can close up by talking about the fantasy stats for the Rams and Seahawks game. We started to talk about that a little bit. We paused when we talked about Tyler Lockett possibly not playing. That's cool. Got yourself a little spreadsheet there. There you go. I don't think it really matters if Tyler Lockett is playing. Like, I wouldn't be comfortable starting any Seahawks players this weekend. From the other side, you know, like you don't like obviously Cooper Kupp is not a question. Like if you're not starting Cooper Kupp, you deserve to lose. Sony Michel is probably going to get more work than Darrell Henderson again. I'm pretty sure Henderson's playing, but it looks like Michel is starting to take over the number one role. So if you were somebody who stashed Michel and waited, you know, good job because you're getting paid off now. And Van Jefferson, like if Van Jefferson is available in your fantasy league, you should jump on him because not getting him was a mistake that I made. Because I saw him on the waiver wire when Robert Woods got hurt, and I wish I'd picked him up. I didn't. But he's been just monstrous. Like, he's been a much better ad than OBJ was. So, and then OBJ. So you can play, like, all the Rams. Start all the Rams.
Start all the Rams.
Yeah, start all the Rams.
What about their defense?
If Tyler Lockett doesn't play, yes, start the Rams defense. If Tyler Lockett does play, you're probably still starting the Rams defense if they're on your roster at this point. But if we're talking about like who we might rather be playing as far as defenses are concerned, I think Philly is really good. Their playoff schedule is amazing. Obviously, I've talked about the Dolphins. Their playoff schedule is amazing.
So check this out. You said 24. Well, we'll put it as 23.5. At 23.5, there are 15 teams currently scoring higher than that on average. So that's pretty close as far as like that's with turnovers. So
man, it's almost like I watch football.
That's interesting. Well, it's with turnovers, so I'm not sure if you took the turnovers.
That's
out.
what I'm saying, though. Is that if you take the turnovers out, you know, you shouldn't be. The team shouldn't be like half the teams don't score more than that. They don't. So that's exactly it.
Okay.
If you don't turn the ball over and you score 24 points, your opponent is unlikely to score more than you.
The teams above that are Titans, Packers, Niners, Eagles, Vikings, Patriots. So that's interesting that the Eagles are there. Vikings, Patriots, Chargers, Bengals, Chiefs, Bills, Cardinals, Rams, Colts, Cowboys, and Bucks at the top. That Eagles one surprises me. That's an interesting one. The rest of them seem like, okay, yeah, you know. So Baltimore Ravens just missed it.
The Eagles have scored a lot of garbage time points.
Oh, yeah, there's also that to consider too, huh?
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a little fun little rabbit hole to go down. For me, that was fun.
But yeah, I think that's all we have for this week. We can move on into the the casual portion of the podcast. And just hang out.
You want to go outside of football?
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. So
for everybody that was watching for the football portion, we thank you, and we're gonna get more casual now. So that means there could be more dead space, and I'm gonna relax.
We had a comment that I don't know if you read that, but Bryan was all like, "Nice jersey, dude." Yeah, I'm paraphrasing. He didn't actually say that.
What did he say?
Wow, just noticed your sweet jersey. I guess Cowboy fans are used to defense giving up a ton of points.
Yeah, we are.
That was in response to your number line being set at 24.
Until this year.
I think I still kind of like my... just it's something to think about while watching the games, right? is the offense scoring more than 21 points without the defense? You know what I mean? Without the or whatever your number line is set to, is the offense doing this without turnovers? And then you can evaluate the game and be like, that felt like an offensive loss, or that felt like a defensive loss, or whatever.
Yeah. So typically, what would happen? Let's say we're talking about a game where your team scores 24 points. You don't turn the ball over. Typically, the way that you lose that game is going to be on a critical third down. Like whether it's you or it's them, but if you score 24 points, like that, it's them converting the critical third down that's going to lose you the game.
So we're talking outside of football now. Non-football point. I just finished a show called Mindhunter.
Okay, I've seen a little bit of that.
It's pretty good. It's about the FBI agents that coined the phrase serial killer.
What is that about? Why do they? So okay, do they explain that?
Mm-hmm.
Why do they call them serial killers?
It's actually a word that, like, it was weird because it was called a sequence killer at first. Mm-hmm. They called it sequence killing, and then it would like evolved into serial. And I can't remember the words that got it to serial, but it almost felt like FBI slang. Like you would put a serial number on it or whatever, but that's kind of where it ended up. I thought, to me, sequence killer sequence killer sounds more like that makes more sense. And they briefly talk about it. They're sitting there like this, and then like sequence killer, and then they say, yeah, because they this and this, like a serial, and they're like, yes, like serial killer, like, yeah, okay, and then like they just kept going. So it wasn't something like they could just like,
yeah,
like there was a lot.
It didn't get explained. It was just like if you were watching, you're like, oh, that's why they call them serial killers.
Something like that. And then like another time, one of the FBI uses it to a higher up. Like, yeah, that's why we believe this guy's a serial killer. And they're like, serial killer. And he goes, yeah, we're trying it out. Like, and then it just kind of keeps going. But see, funny. Like, this is an example of the chat right here. So this chat pops up, right? You'll see it pop up in a second. It's some kind of spam. And then you'll see me clear it out. And you can see the names like Russian or something. But that happens from time to time. So even if I remove it, it'll stay up on there.
VASF Tech?
Yeah. But that's one of the things that like you learn to do when you're doing this is keep an eye on the chat. So by me missing what Bryan had said earlier was very unusual because that usually waits for me to remove the comment. It doesn't do it on its own. You understand what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
So I'll have to remove the comment and then clear it by doing this. And there's like no other way other than going to that third-party website and sitting there and going, these words I want you to filter out automatically, and like doing it that way, kind of thing. But wish I could, because that's the exact same message that person put. I could probably go in there to the bot and tell it anytime these characters pop up, just auto delete or something, But there's a lot of stuff like that for people who stream that utilizes stuff like that, and I'm glad that it just saved everything from last time, because it's all. I don't know if I mean, obviously I did it once. You could do it again, but I don't remember like it would be like, oh fuck, how do I do this again, and how do I do that? And no. I was able to do it, where it fit right in between us, like our webcams and stuff like that. I was able to do that, so that was pretty neat. That it kind of just took that and gave me a crown for some reason, probably because it's my channel. I'm not sure why it's there. Wait for Bryan to make a comment. I don't think his name has a crown next to it. And then on my screen, what I'm seeing right now is a very, very low quality version of the screen. So the text on there is actually blurred out. what you're seeing here is clearer than what I'm seeing. It's like very blurry.
Huh.
It's like 120.
That's interesting.
HD quality or something. So to make sure like you're in focus and I'm in focus, I have to like sit up and be like, okay. But that's all I pay attention to. I look at the chat. It was so new to me. This never happened before. That's why I was kind of like, what's going on here? Like, but yeah, because that just happened and kind of brought me back. But yeah, so these guys, and it's done in real time back then, and so like some of those serial killers you've heard of before, like BTK, and they're in the show. Charles Manson's in the show too. He's briefly in it for one scene, and I don't think they're gonna be. They could absolutely come back for a third season, but I don't think they're going to. I heard one of the actors has like scheduling conflicts or something, but I'd watch a third season. Absolutely. Finals week's over for me. Woo. Get some breathing room. So got that going on. What about you, man? Anything you got going on you want to talk about?
Lots of stuff going on.
That you want to talk about?
Yeah. What am I doing? I started watching. So I always hear about this show called The Wire.
Oh, yeah. That's a good show.
You watched the show, so you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So I finished. No. I kind of like had season 1 on in the background. Like there's been a lot of stuff going on lately, and it's been difficult to like focus on stuff. But
yeah.
But I'm gonna try. I'm definitely gonna try and watch that. Like it's been interesting enough to me. But I'm still like, I've watched enough of the show that I'm still questioning what it is where people are like, oh, you gotta watch the show, like The Wire.
So I think now we don't really see it like this, but I think what happened was, and a lot of shows now are kind of adopting the format. So maybe when you look back at it, you're like, I don't see why this show is blah, blah, blah. But what they did was for a cop show, for like a murder cop show, they don't resolve the case in one day.
Oh, like one of the first shows that did that, maybe?
Yeah. And so like the whole season, or for the big portion of the season, they're trying to build a case to get a wiretap.
Yeah.
And then they get the wiretap, and then they're able to get the data they need in order to rest the case. And then the next season, it's them trying to get another wiretap. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's where people were like, oh, yeah, we're still like, they can drag one case out for an entire season, and still make it interesting. You don't have to feel that resolve, and I think that's where people kind of were just like, whoa, this show's amazing. But now there's a lot of shows like that have their format like that.
Yeah, and compared to those ones, it's a little slow moving. Like it just develops a little slow
because it's HBO. It's like a whole hour instead of 45 minutes with commercial breaks. I don't even
necessarily mean that. I mean like the dialogue on between characters on screen. It's not like it's weird because you can just tell like things were done at a different speed.
Mm. And it's been a while since I watched it.
And I think it's just because of the rate at which information travels now. Because like in the intro to that show, there's all kinds of like little clips of things that they're doing, to get their wiretap or whatever. And like among those things in the intro to the show is a guy like writing notes in a van. He's in a van, a surveillance van, and he's like taking notes on paper with pencil. And he's just probably not doing that anymore in 2020. Maybe I'm wrong. Could still be happening. Never really know. But it seems like most people are like have everything digitized.
I watched that show a long time ago. So I was watching Breaking Bad
recently
around the time that I watched that show.
Okay.
And so what happened was Breaking Bad ended, and I think Family Guy made a joke like they do sometimes with culture, and it was like, Breaking Bad's the best show ever except for The Wire. The Wire is blah blah blah. But like, and it was Peter Griffin doing like a robotic mantra, yeah. And I was like, Wire? I never even heard of this show.
Yeah, what is that?
And so then I looked it up, and it was like, a Family Guy was saying like The Wire was up there with Breaking Bad. I was going to watch it, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And that's what got me to watch it. Was that just those
fucking,
what do they call those fadeaway segue clips that they do, you know, on Family Guy? So
what's his name got you? Seth MacFarlane?
yeah,
gotcha.
he got me on that one.
He got you into The Wire.
It was good enough for me to watch the entire thing, you know, as somebody who's a lover of stories.
Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting enough for me to continue watching it. My only thing is like it's one of those shows where it's like I've heard so many things about it that like it had some, you know, it had a difficult level of expectation to live up to in the first place. But even still, with my mindset of like, I'm gonna, like, I know people like, you know, really love shows sometimes, I still kind of like, I don't know, I expected it to just be a little more, you know?
So
like maybe there was going to be more clever dialogue, or more, maybe it was going to be more dramatic, because like this sometimes in the episodes, like when you get to the actual end of the episode, nothing actually really happened.
Yeah. So I think I had less expectations going in and watching that, because of the only one thing from Family Guy that I saw is what I knew about it. And, you know, and so I had no clue what to expect. I had no hype for it from somebody else or anything like that. It was just like a push play and watch. Another show that's like criminally has a lot of those solving mystery cop type shows that I thought was pretty good and has a lot of better dialogue is Lie to Me. I don't know if you've ever seen that one.
I've seen that one. I've seen it. I watched at least the first season.
Yeah, so that was a good one.
That one was short lived though, wasn't it? It wasn't only like 3 seasons. Or
I think they had 46 episodes,
okay,
which is not enough. I get it. I don't know how they could have probably just kept going and keep creating these scenarios.
Yeah, because they're all very, very, you know, corner case and yeah. So
Monk was a real fun one.
I didn't watch Monk.
I liked Monk.
I'm just never a Tony Shalhoub fan.
And that's fine. I think he just did a good job being like germophobic the way he was germophobic and stuff. Whenever somebody can get submerged into a character so well that like little finite details of the character is never unmissed, like whenever that happens, you get a great character, right? And that happens in a few shows like Butters in South Park. That's a good one.
Where you just compared.
I'm comparing how
Butters.
I'm comparing how when a character is developed properly and they don't forget the details.
You're talking about character development with Butters from South Park. If
you've watched 21 seasons with Butters in it, you'd realize there's a character development there that happened. You know, and then there's another one out there. Who did I have? Who else was in there?
Just insult me for not watching 21 years of South Park?
No, I didn't. I wasn't insulting anybody on that.
It
I'm just saying that there's character development that happens. King of the Hill's another one. You know, where there's a couple examples I like using with King of the Hill because it's like you have to get like sort of invested in the character to understand like why that's a problem, you know. But there's one where he's arguing with the school principal, and the school principal and him have grown up together, blah blah blah. They know each other from that, you know what I mean. So when he addresses the principal, he addresses him by his name, not like Mr. So-and-so or whatever. But they get in an argument because he doesn't agree with what the principal's doing with the kids. And the principal takes off running, and he's chasing him like he's going to beat the shit out of him. So he's chasing him, and he runs out the principal runs out an emergency exit door, and Hank just stops, and he just like trembles like, because you have to know that it wasn't an emergency, so he didn't run out the emergency door. But it doesn't explain that. But you just know that from the character development.
About Hank, you know, he doesn't want to go through the because he doesn't want to break the rules.
You know, so it's just like when there's like those little finite details in a character, and then they don't forget about it, and they put it in there.
No, Hank wouldn't do this. You know. Stay true to the character. Yes. In it, that you get more hilarious moments.
And then there's another example with him where he goes away for some reason, and they start barbecuing, and it was the niece character who doesn't quite understand his obsession between propane and charcoal, right? So she barbecues some burgers with charcoal, and they all start falling in love with these burgers, and then they realize she's using charcoal, and they're like trying like to get rid of it because he's on his way back. So they're trying to get rid of all the charcoal that she'd been using, and they miss a briquette. It's like on the kitchen floor or something, right? And he comes and he sees it. He freaks out, and he's like, we're all going to sit down and we're going to pray. It's just like he went there, and he made them sit down, and he grabs their hands, and you know, it goes to the next scene. But what I'm saying is little things like that with Hank and with Butters, like those little details they managed to do that with the character from Monk. You once you get to know him a little bit,
he was very, very crazy.
So
but that was but also that was a little much for me, because like I don't know, I honestly don't know what it was about, you know, because I enjoyed little bits and pieces
of what
of Monk.
Okay. Oh, I thought you didn't watch it at all.
But it was something I couldn't watch episode after episode after episode.
Gotcha.
I would just get tired of him.
I could see like not liking the character at all. Like that has happened too.
That's what I'm saying. I would just get like, you know, if I watch one episode here or there, like once, you know, every 5 or 6 months, I see an episode of Monk. Oh, this is nice. This is funny. But I couldn't imagine I would like to watch 8 seasons.
I need to start another Korean drama, I think. Oh yeah. I think I have one picked out.
Always start a new Korean drama.
Yeah. There's no American politics in those.
No.
And it's getting increasingly hard to watch anything because there's always something in there that you're just kind of like, man, I don't want you to try to make a point to me. I just want you to give me a story. You know, so Korean dramas don't do that. Any foreign, or it doesn't even have to be a drama. I just say Korean drama because that's what my wife watches, the dramas. But
yeah,
foreign television doesn't throw all that there. And if it is there, I don't really recognize it, right? Because it's not like the whole idea of the story is to make that political point. There is a political point in the story. There's like a difference, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. So, see, even with that one that just came out that everybody was raving about, the game one, Squid Games.
Yeah, Squid Game.
So I think we talked about that. There was a political point, but it went right over my head. You know.
So apparently, it's that they over in Korea they treat poor people like they're subhuman.
Yeah. So that's a Korean political thing. Then.
Yeah, that's what,
so that was
yes, and it went right over my head as well. I got that from somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was just like if you're just watching the show and you don't know anything about Korean politics, you don't think, oh, well, they have a problem with, you know, poor people, and they, you know, I don't even know, because so my perspective watching it, it did not at all immediately light up to my brain that there was a problem between wealthy people and poor people over in Korea. I mean, there's that problem everywhere, because like over here in the United States, it's not like wealthy people love poor people, but apparently like they're able to get away with a lot more stuff in Korea. So the idea of that show, Squid Game, like isn't even completely far-fetched.
Yeah. I think we talked about this.
Was the interpretation I got.
I think we talked about this before, and I had mentioned that like the amount of money they offered. Some reviewer.
It was still a lot. We looked it up. We did look it up, and it was still quite a bit. It was still something like $30 million.
Yeah, but the ratio, I was getting at the ratio. The ratio.
Yeah, for them it was like 45 billion won or whatever.
And it equaled like
$30 million.
It equaled like a millionaire watching like these guys fight over $20 or something like that. If you were to scale it down.
A billionaire watching them fight over $20.
Yes.
Yes, a billionaire.
A billionaire. If you were to scale it down, like
Yes.
a billionaire offered them 40 million, whatever. But if you were to scale it down, it would be like average people watching these poor people fight over $20.
What do you mean scale it down?
So, the amount of money in comparison to what they were offering. Okay, so let's say it's a 10-to-1 ratio, just for argument's sake. Okay, so 40 million to the 10-to-1 ratio is, 400 million. But if you were to scale it all the way down to the average person, what it would take for the average person to be in the billionaire's shoes, they would only be offering $20, $40 for these people to go and kill each other over.
I still don't understand.
Okay. I'm not explaining it very well, but I don't know how else to explain it.
So I remember us talking about this briefly before, and I remember us breaking it down to like, if you were a billionaire, someone fighting over $20 million, $30 million is the equivalent of them fighting over 20 or $30.
To the average person.
Billionaire.
I know.
Not average person, average billionaire.
Okay. I don't remember exactly what
Because
the YouTuber I saw said about it, but.
Because the people who walk away from that, the person who walks away with all the money, and in like Squid Game, walks away with $30 million.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only people to whom that is like comparable to $20 in the world are billionaires.
Mm-hmm.
No one else.
Yeah.
So that's why I say that.
Okay.
Because I remember us breaking it down. We could go to Google and break down the 400. It was like 44 billion won.
Yeah, that's not part of the point. Like how much it actually was, the scale down point. The point that I was talking about, the whole scaling, the way that it's scaled, like it doesn't really matter how much the money is. It's not worth thinking about, because we already hashed this out once already.
Yeah,
but
it's out there somewhere.
So yeah, that's what I was basically what I was saying before that was, there was this one I saw and I asked my wife. Oh, you know what? It was funny because I was looking up something. I was trying to send her a GIF of a goblin. I was trying to send her a GIF. Okay, so here's the story, right? I drove to work and my windshield was frozen over. Okay, and so I texted my wife to let her know, hey, my windshield was frozen over. And I did that so she would know like she needs to leave a little sooner to warm up her car and get rid of the ice and stuff on the windshield. And she goes, oh, I always send Donnie out to the car 10 minutes before we leave anyway to warm the car up. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, man, I wish I had a little goblin to do that for me, but because I get up so early in the morning, like there's no one to do that for me. Like I either need to go check for ice or have a game plan for ice when I go out. And so that's what I mentioned. I was like, I wish I had a little goblin to do that. They can make me coffee too or whatever, have a little goblin companion pet, And so I searched a GIF. I searched for a GIF on my phone of a goblin. I typed in goblin in the GIF search and nothing but Koreans popped up. And I was like,
that's weird.
I was like, what the why is it I type in goblin?
Did you Google search Korean goblin?
So what I did was I took a screenshot. I took a screenshot and I sent it to my wife and I was like, why did when I put goblin in the GIF search did Koreans pop up? And she just started laughing. She's like, there's actually a Korean drama where like one of those characters is a goblin and the other one is something else, I forget. I go, that's funny. I'm going to watch that. And so that's the one I have picked out to start watching, whatever it is, just based off of what happened in the GIF search, But That's another thing too. Like I noticed I'm getting better at spotting out Cambodians, Koreans, Japanese. I've always known Chinese. Like how to differentiation, from them. Yeah, all that stuff, language and looks and all that stuff. So yeah, maybe I'll start it tonight. Tomorrow I'm gonna do some Christmas shopping, finish up.
Yeah, I've got I'm gonna go to the Elks Lodge thing on Sunday. I'm gonna take Logan to that.
That's Sunday, yeah.
Yeah, to see Santa Claus and get a Christmas stocking. So that's fun. That's big news in my life. My son just turned 1.
Congratulations.
Thank you. He's growing really well. He's doing really good. He's just a lot of fun. He's all over the place. He's like he listens really well. It's real easy to misdirect him. Like he doesn't get fixated on things that he's playing with and stuff like that. He's very kind of go with the flow, unless he's hungry or tired.
As any kid.
And then he needs dad. But other than that, yeah, he's doing great.
Well, that's good. I think I want to wrap things up because there's some off-the-air stuff I want to talk to you about.
Yeah, yeah. This will be a short week, guys, but
no, we hit our 2-hour mark.
We'll be back at it hard next week when sometimes Tequilla Bryan is back.
Yeah, I think he owes us next week since he missed this week.
Yeah, a little bit because it was difficult to communicate with him, and I only got one bet out of him. So
yeah, Bryan,
all right.
Do what you can, make it next week. And with that, you guys, we'll see you next week.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Love you.
Yeah, no. Oh wait, I got to end the stream too. Ooh, I almost started doing spoilers.